The discussion surrounding a potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has sparked intense debate among boxing analysts, trainers, and former fighters, each offering unique perspectives on what could be one of the most intriguing fights in recent memory. At the heart of the conversation is whether Crawford, moving up 2 weight classes to challenge Canelo at 168 pounds, can overcome the physical and experiential advantages of the Mexican superstar. The analysis delves into the fighters' respective strengths, weaknesses, and tactical approaches, with particular emphasis on Canelo's jab usage, Crawford's technical mastery, and the high stakes for both men in this hypothetical showdown. One of the central critiques of Canelo's recent performances is his inconsistent use of the jab, a tool that was once a cornerstone of his fighting style but has waned in effectiveness over time. Observers note that in fights where Canelo failed to establish his jab, opponents gained confidence, closed the distance, and applied pressure without fear of being kept at bay. This was evident in his bout against William Skull, where Canelo's output was uncharacteristically low, and his movements lacked the sharpness and urgency that defined his prime. Analysts argue that without a consistent jab, Canelo leaves himself vulnerable to fighters like Crawford, who excel at exploiting defensive lapses. If Canelo cannot control the range with his jab, Crawford could walk him down, much like other opponents have done when Canelo's lead hand was underutilized. The consensus is that for Canelo to succeed, he must rediscover the precision and frequency of his jab to disrupt Crawford's rhythm and prevent him from dictating the fight's pace. Mike Tyson, a vocal figure in boxing commentary, has expressed concern for Canelo's legacy should he lose to Crawford. Tyson warns that a defeat against a naturally smaller fighter moving up 2 weight classes could tarnish Canelo's reputation as one of the sport's pound-for-pound greats. The narrative of Canelo being unable to handle a smaller, less experienced opponent at 168 pounds would fuel criticism and raise questions about his current form. Tyson emphasizes that Canelo must approach this fight with a renewed focus on his jab, using it not only to score points but also to maintain distance and neutralize Crawford's aggressive tendencies. Without this adjustment, Tyson fears Canelo could be outmaneuvered by a fighter whose technical prowess compensates for his size disadvantage. Teddy Atlas, a veteran boxing analyst, provides a nuanced take on the matchup, acknowledging Canelo's extensive resume while highlighting Crawford's superior adaptability. Canelo has faced a who's who of boxing's elite across multiple weight classes, from Floyd Mayweather to Gennady Golovkin, cementing his status as a battle-tested champion. However, Atlas argues that resumes alone don't determine outcomes in the ring. Crawford, though less decorated in terms of marquee names, possesses an exceptional ability to control fights through timing, angles, and ring generalship. Atlas believes Crawford's calm demeanor and mid-fight adjustments could prove decisive against Canelo, who, despite his experience, has shown signs of slippage in recent years. Crawford's ability to read opponents and exploit their tendencies makes him a dangerous puzzle for even a seasoned champion like Canelo. The stakes for Canelo are undeniably high. A loss to Crawford, who is stepping up from 147 pounds, would carry significant implications for his legacy. Critics would likely point to Canelo's inability to dominate a smaller opponent as evidence of decline, especially given his physical advantages in size, strength, and experience at super middleweight. The comparison to Canelo's dominant performance against Jermall Charlo, another fighter who moved up to challenge him, underscores the expectations placed on Canelo to make a statement. Charlo, like Crawford, was seen as a skilled but undersized opponent, and Canelo dispatched him convincingly. However, analysts caution that Crawford is a different caliber of fighter, with a level of technical precision and mental sharpness that Charlo lacked. This makes the fight a risky proposition for Canelo, as anything less than a decisive victory could invite scrutiny of his current standing in the sport. David Benavidez, a prominent figure in the super middleweight division, speaks glowingly of Crawford's abilities, placing him among the elite in terms of skill and fight IQ. Benavidez highlights Crawford's seamless stance switching, composure under pressure, and ability to dictate the pace of a fight regardless of his opponent's style. These attributes, Benavidez argues, make Crawford a uniquely challenging opponent for Canelo. Unlike many fighters who rely on physicality or a single game plan, Crawford's versatility allows him to adapt to any situation, whether it's counterpunching, applying pressure, or outboxing from a distance. Benavidez believes that Crawford's mental edge, his ability to break down opponents over time, could be the key to overcoming Canelo's physical advantages. Jeff Mayweather, another respected voice in boxing, echoes Benavidez's praise for Crawford's technical mastery while cautioning against underestimating Canelo's power and experience. Mayweather points out that Crawford's ability to read opponents and adjust his strategy mid-fight is unparalleled, but Canelo's knack for landing devastating single punches cannot be overlooked. Canelo has a proven track record of turning fights around with one well-placed shot, and his experience in high-pressure bouts gives him an edge in navigating the intensity of a fight against Crawford. Mayweather warns that Crawford must fight a near-perfect fight to win, as any lapse could allow Canelo to capitalize with his superior power. Max Kellerman's analysis focuses heavily on the role of the jab in this matchup. He describes Crawford's jab as one of the most effective in modern boxing, capable of controlling range, setting up combinations, and disrupting opponents' rhythm. This contrasts with Canelo, whose jab was once a formidable weapon but has become less consistent in recent years. Kellerman notes that Crawford's disciplined use of the jab could exploit Canelo's tendency to react rather than initiate, allowing Crawford to dictate the fight's tempo. However, Kellerman acknowledges that Canelo's early career jab was a neutralizing force against aggressive opponents, suggesting that a return to that form could make the fight competitive. The battle of jabs, Kellerman argues, may ultimately determine who controls the ring and emerges victorious. Gary Antoine Russell introduces a cultural and stylistic perspective, noting the contrast between Canelo's traditional Mexican fighting style and Crawford's rhythm-driven, defensively aware approach. Canelo's style, characterized by calculated pressure, body shots, and counterpunching, has been honed to perfection over years of facing top-tier opposition. Crawford, on the other hand, embodies a more fluid, adaptable style often associated with African-American fighters, relying on movement, angles, and defensive instincts. This clash of styles creates a fascinating dynamic, as each fighter will seek to impose their rhythm while countering the other's strengths. Russell emphasizes that Crawford cannot afford to make mistakes, as Canelo's power and precision in close quarters could prove decisive in the smaller gloves used at the professional level. Trainer Robert Garcia openly supports Crawford, citing his work ethic, discipline, and mastery of boxing fundamentals. Garcia views Crawford's rise to this high-profile matchup as a testament to his dedication and skill, qualities that resonate with fans and elevate the sport. While Garcia respects Canelo's accomplishments, his admiration for Crawford's heart, speed, and technical ability leads him to predict a Crawford victory. Initially, Garcia believed Crawford might struggle after a strong first 6 rounds, but he now believes Crawford's intangibles, his desire and mental toughness, will carry him through the later rounds against a potentially fatiguing Canelo. Omari Jones praises Crawford's methodical approach to moving up in weight, noting that he has avoided the pitfalls of rapid bulking that could sap his speed and stamina. Through a carefully planned regimen of nutrition and conditioning, Crawford has added the necessary muscle mass to compete at 168 pounds while preserving the agility that defines his style. Jones believes this preparation gives Crawford a significant advantage, as it minimizes the physical disadvantages of facing a naturally larger opponent like Canelo. By maintaining his quickness and endurance, Crawford can execute his game plan without being overwhelmed by Canelo's size and power. Paulie Malignaggi reinforces this point, highlighting Crawford's ability to balance physical preparation with technical precision. Malignaggi notes that Crawford's disciplined training camp, which includes tailored sparring and dietary adjustments, has allowed him to gain weight without sacrificing the attributes that make him dangerous. This preparation could be a deciding factor, as Crawford's ability to maintain his speed and counterpunching ability will be critical against Canelo's relentless pressure. Malignaggi draws parallels to past fighters who successfully moved up in weight, but cautions that Canelo is a unique challenge due to his combination of power, experience, and ring savvy. Stephen "Breadman" Edwards emphasizes Crawford's mastery of movement as the foundation of his success. By constantly managing distance and forcing opponents into uncomfortable positions, Crawford creates openings for counters while minimizing his own exposure. Edwards believes this skill, combined with Crawford's elite conditioning, will allow him to maintain a high pace over 12 rounds, potentially outlasting Canelo, who has shown signs of fatigue in recent fights. Edwards points out that Canelo's lack of stoppage wins since 2021 suggests a decline in stamina, which Crawford could exploit by keeping him on the defensive and preventing him from setting up his power shots. Sean Porter and other analysts agree that Crawford's path to victory lies in controlling distance and using angles to disrupt Canelo's forward momentum. By constantly moving and forcing Canelo to reset, Crawford can frustrate the champion and create opportunities to land clean shots. Porter stresses that mental discipline will be as crucial as physical ability, as the fighter who remains composed and sticks to their strategy will likely prevail. The press conferences leading up to the fight have lacked the intensity of Canelo's past rivalries, suggesting that both fighters are focused on preparation rather than psychological warfare. However, Porter notes that Canelo's subdued demeanor could indicate a lack of confidence, a stark contrast to his aggressive approach against Caleb Plant. Canelo's recent performance against William Skull has raised concerns about his current form. His lower output, slower footwork, and reactive approach allowed Skull to fight more comfortably than expected, prompting questions about Canelo's stamina and sharpness. Analysts like Jim Lampley have noted that Canelo's legs, once a source of power and punch resistance, are showing signs of decline, which could be problematic against a mobile and adaptable fighter like Crawford. Since his knockout of Caleb Plant in 2021, Canelo has struggled to finish opponents, relying on decisions rather than stoppages. This trend, combined with his age, approaching 35, and 20 years as a professional, suggests that Canelo may no longer have the extra gear needed to dominate elite opponents. In contrast, Crawford's ability to adjust mid-fight is a recurring theme in the analysis. Whether it's finding a simple jab to control a fight or switching stances to confuse opponents, Crawford's adaptability sets him apart. His performance against Errol Spence, where he showcased his ability to dominate top-tier opposition, has bolstered confidence in his ability to compete at 168 pounds. While the weight jump is a significant challenge, Crawford's preparation and mental resilience give analysts reason to believe he can overcome the odds. Ultimately, the Canelo-Crawford matchup is a clash of contrasting styles, strengths, and narratives. Canelo's power, experience, and mastery of his craft make him a formidable champion, but questions about his stamina and jab usage create openings for a fighter like Crawford. Crawford's technical brilliance, adaptability, and disciplined preparation make him a credible threat, despite the size disadvantage. The fight's outcome will hinge on whether Canelo can reassert his jab and impose his physicality, or whether Crawford can outmaneuver him with movement, angles, and mental sharpness. For Canelo, the fight is a chance to solidify his legacy. For Crawford, it's an opportunity to prove his greatness against one of boxing's biggest names. The anticipation surrounding this bout underscores its significance, as the boxing world awaits a contest that could redefine both fighters' careers.